Turning now to the other big story this weekend, Campaign 2016. Our CBS News Battleground tracker today looks at North Carolina, where Hillary Clinton is up by 4 points over Donald Trump, 46 to 42%. In Pennsylvania, a state Donald Trump promises he'll win, Clinton enjoys a comfortable lead with 45% to 37% for Trump. We've added Arizona and Georgia to our original 11 battleground states. So now, if we look at the race in the 13 most potentially competitive states, Hillary Clinton is up by 2 points over Donald Trump, 42 to 40%. The remaining voters are either undecided or supporting a third-party candidate. We're back now to talk numbers. More from our CBS News Battleground Tracker poll. We're joined by CBS News Director of Elections, Anthony Salvanto. Okay, Anthony, let's walk through this slowly. 13 states, we're going to be obsessed with them on election night. They are where the race is taking place. Give us a sense of where things now stand in those 13 battleground states.
All right, so Clinton is still leading. And in that sense, the race is essentially unchanged. She's still leading among the same demographic groups that she's been winning. But, you look at her numbers underneath that lead, and she's got historically high unfavorable ratings. That hasn't changed either. So some things that haven't changed aren't good news for her. We haven't seen that in polling from a front runner before. And what that does is it introduces a little bit of uncertainty still in this race, because then voters say that they feel like they're settling. Like they don't really like either choice. They've picked a front runner, but they're settling for a choice rather than making an affirmative choice. And that leaves things, I think, still a little bit up in the air.
So this is not an act of joy. They're just it's a bit more grudging. So let's just recapitulate maybe for people who haven't been paying attention what the fragility is of Hillary Clinton's lead. I mean, what is it underneath that's weak about her?
Yeah, she still has persistent issues on trust, on telling the truth, and some of it stems from the email server. People say in this poll that they feel like her answers to that are getting less believable over time, not more so. But to really understand this from public opinion, John, I think you have to lather that up to the bigger picture. In polling, people consistently say, like they feel in America today, that there are two sets of rules, one for them and one for people who have special advantages. And it seems like the email server is just reminding people of what they don't like, about politics as usual. And then you see that, and it bleeds into some of her other numbers, where people say like they feel like she is running on behalf of big donors rather than trying to help them or help the country, and even more so that she's running just because she wants to help herself rather than them. And that's where it spreads out and makes her numbers weaker.
Right, spreads out to a bigger issue than just about specific emails. Let's talk about Donald Trump's big challenges. He's been trying to fix them. What's his big challenge and how's he been trying to fix it?
Well, you look at his numbers among minority voters, they are low and they haven't moved just yet. But you wonder if, too, that some of these appeals to minority voters are also a signal to those reluctant Republicans that we've seen in the polling throughout this, who worry, and they tell us they worry, that his appeal is based on racial division. They don't like that. They're not as moved even by the immigration issue as well. But, you see the balancing act that he has. This week, more people said that they felt his immigration policies were staying the same. But conservatives who felt like they were changing, like they were becoming easier on people in the country illegally, got a little less enthusiastic about Trump. So that's that balancing act he's got.
This is what's so interesting. So this question on immigration, it's the signature policy of Donald Trump. When Chris Christie says that he's going to take a pause about the 11 million undocumented, that would seem to be a message to those reluctant Republicans you're talking about, that Donald Trump can change his mind, that he's not doctrinaire. And yet, on the other hand, you said that there are those conservatives who've always been with him, who are always skeptical of presidents, or candidates, who are softening, who are changing their mind on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so let's step back and look at the big picture then, the state of the map. What's it look like?
Well, for Hillary Clinton, she's leading in enough states, and we've gone through over the weeks, state by state, that she's got enough of a cushion in the states that she could even afford to drop a couple, to lose her lead in a couple, and still get elected. And we hear so much about battleground states like Ohio and Florida. She could even afford to lose them and still win if she keeps the leads in some of these other places like in North Carolina.
And that's because Democrats start with a group of states that are traditionally voting for Democrats, so they have a bit of advantage, and she's doing well in enough broad states and these battleground states. So what does the path look like then for Donald Trump?
Donald Trump has more challenges, quite frankly, and it's not just numerically in that he has to pull back so many of these states. He's got to win Florida, he's got to win Ohio, then he's got to go and get the lead back in North Carolina and in Pennsylvania. You know, his path is narrower because, as you said, Republicans don't start with as large a base of electoral votes, so he's got to pull back some of those Democratic states. And, you know, the good news for him, though, is these states are not that dissimilar. If he can change people's minds, you'd probably start to see a sequence of states start to move, not just one or two.
All right, and you've added Arizona and Georgia to the mix, which are usually Republican states. That means a bigger map maybe for Hillary Clinton. We'll see. Thanks, Anthony. We'll be seeing a lot of you this fall, and we'll continue to help inform our viewers about what's going on in the presidential race and out there in the battleground states. For now, we'll take a pause. We'll be back in a moment.